democratize China. Let's show them democracy, and they'll play fair. And they'll play fair.
Okay, but to Catherine's point,
it's time to raise tariffs at China to 400%.
Hang on a second.
Trump already raised tariffs on China.
Not enough. Not enough.
There have been many studies showing that U.S. companies and consumers are the ones who bore the cost.
Academic study. I'm doing real business in China. I'm actually doing business there.
What's happening, everybody? Today's clip features two of our favorites, Scott Jennings and Kevin O'Leary. Now, this is an older clip from about 5 months ago. Don't get mad at me. It was during the lead up to the election. I'm showing this to you to point out how little the media has changed since that long ago. If you were to watch this and ignored context clues, I could tell you this conversation happened an hour ago and it would be fully plausible. Nothing has changed. What it highlights is consistency. Consistency from Donald Trump, Scott Jennings, Kevin O'Leary, even the liberal media and their attempts to attack Trump at every turn. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings and Kevin O'Leary annihilate yet another panel of CNN hacks. Let's go.
I don't really understand why he keeps going back to this well of more and more and more tariffs.
Let me explain why. Let's take China. Let's take an example that every American understands, TikTok. Everybody knows TikTok. American people made a decision in Congress to ban it on midnight, Jan 19th. The supreme leader of China said, no, we're going to use your court systems to litigate the American people so that doesn't happen. I can't do that in China. The supreme leader would never let me do that. I can't protect my IP there. Chinese have been screwing my 45 businesses for 35 years. I like the idea of going to war with China with tariffs to change behavior.
But it didn't change behavior. All it did was hurt American companies.
Weak leadership that doesn't know how to implement.
This is the same leadership. It was Trump who launched the trade war with.
Then it was Clinton saying, let's democratize China, let's show them democracy, and they'll play fair and they'll play fair.
But to Catherine's point,
it's time to raise tariffs at China to 400%.
Hang on a second.
Trump already raised tariffs on China.
Not enough.
There have been many studies showing that U.S. companies and consumers are the ones who bore the cost.
Academic study. I'm doing real business in China. I'm actually doing business there.
Yeah.
I'm actually working
American
there. There's no academics in my company.
Where do you think they buy their inputs from?
Let me explain something to you.
From China.
The Chinese steal my IP. They make the same product with the molds that I pay for there. They ship them into this country under a different brand. I don't like it anymore, and I've been trying to solve this for 30 years.
If you tariff everything from China,
there's no academic in my world.
You're going to be paying more for the stuff you buy. You're going to be paying more for the stuff you buy. They knew even in the 1600s that you should not tariff inputs.
Kevin,
let's just take a yoga mat.
Every American.
Put a 400% tariff on a yoga mat. We'll make it in Vietnam or make it in India or make it in America. We won't buy anything from China. And the Supreme Leader
will still be more expensive.
He'll come to New York.
It will be more expensive.
No.
Absolutely it would be.
We won't buy it from there.
Wait,
what do you mean we won't buy it from there?
Hold on one second, because I get the
Why
back
are you
and
raising
forth,
the price?
But Kevin, you're having a different. This is always what happens when we talk about Trump and the economy. People come on here. Hang on. No. Just hang on. People come on the show, and then they defend a different economic policy than the one that Trump is advocating. He says in the clip, "What am I going to do? Negotiate with China or Mexico?" He doesn't want to negotiate. He says you're not going to get anything from them. Okay, that's what he says. He does not want to negotiate. Also, the question I asked you is, where is the rest of the plan? Where is the rest of the economic plan?
Well, why don't you just look at his track record for the last, the term that he had? No inflation, fantastic wage growth. I mean, look, he actually sat in the seat at the White House.
2020.
You may not like what he did.
President
you may not like
Trump
him,
was president in 2020.
But I don't remember 9% inflation when he was.
I remember 18% unemployment. I mean, I remember.
What happened when that was going on?
A pandemic that he bungled.
Are you saying he created the virus?
No, but he absolutely made it worse.
How?
By lying about the risk, by telling people not to get tested. Don't get tested.
You're saying he should have personally cured the virus as the president.
No, I'm saying he should have given his tests to Americans rather than to
She did not say that. I mean, but Scott, okay.
I'm sorry. This idea that somehow because Trump was the president that the virus has political proclivities and decided to prolong itself has been crazy to me since it's been floated.
You don't think leadership mattered at all?
The virus? No, I don't actually.
You don't?
I don't believe the virus.
You don't think it mattered? You don't think it mattered years that Trump withheld various kinds of testing kits and PPE from states that were asking for it, and then
let me tell you about people like this lady that opposed Donald Trump's tariffs. The purpose behind Donald Trump's tariffs and his trade strategy as a whole is to prevent China from taking advantage of the United States more than they already have, reduce our dependence on our largest adversary for critical goods, bring manufacturing back to the United States, and breathe life back into the working class of this country. I don't think there's a debate about that, even among liberals, that those are the goals. But why do you think people like her would want to stop him from moving forward? I mean, all the stated goals make sense for the American people, right? These people that are fighting him, they know that these things need to happen. So I think it pretty much boils down to three main reasons that people would oppose Donald Trump's tariffs. The status quo benefits them. They're cowards that are scared of uncertainty, or they're blinded by hate for Donald Trump, or a combination of all three. You know, it's crazy they're still using the billionaires are all that Trump cares about. Wall Street and those billionaires are his biggest critics on the tariffs. They want to put a stop to it because it affects their bottom line in this moment right now. They're the ones that aren't willing to experience short-term pain for long-term success. Isn't it baffling that someone like me or tens of millions of other Americans who don't have a lot of money are willing to grin and bear it, but then the folks that will never be poor another day in their lives aren't? That's nuts. All right, let's let the melting down continue.
And he told them to go buy it themselves.
You
And then
you think that was the masks? Is that what you think?
And then he outbid them for it, so they couldn't buy it. And then he sent it to Putin.
No,
I was talking about virus.
I do want to get back to the
I
economic
mean, you are implicitly
question here,
by pretending it didn't
Scott,
happen.
Republicans keep saying that this election is about the economy. Now, I guess it's maybe also about immigration, but it is about the economy when you ask voters. And again, like, I'm wondering, what else is Trump planning on doing, and can he articulate
Well,
it?
to me, I think it's a great question, and it needs to be fleshed out. I think we should probably play the clip, though, of Harris from the Chicago Economic Club or the... Oh, do we not have it? Because she didn't show up to talk. So here's what I think. He's going to extend the tax cuts. He's going to rein in the federal government and the overburdensome regulatory state, which he can now do because of the Supreme Court. And he's going to take on these countries that screw American workers. That's the plan. And oh, by the way, he's going to crack down on immigration to the benefit of American workers.
He's going to deport 20 million people, the people who pick your crops, the people who process your meat, the people who, care for your grandmother, the people who serve all sorts of critical functions in this country. Yeah, he's going to deport a lot of people, and that's going to worsen the economy. In fact, there have been, I don't know, like a dozen different independent economic analyses from Goldman Sachs, AEI, Brookings, Nomura, Peterson Institute. Look, all of them
I know your argument. If you want to run on more illegal immigration as a Democrat, go ahead. I just don't think it's going to work in the election.
He wants to deport 20 million. I'm not done with his, I know what his economic policy is because he has talked about it. He doesn't understand how any of it would work, but he has talked about it. He wants 10% global tariffs, which would worsen inflation. He wants to deport 20 million people, which would worsen inflation and reduce growth. He wants to politicize the Federal Reserve, which would worsen inflation. He wants to devalue the dollar, which would worsen inflation.
And after all that,
all of these things.
The American population wants that economy back. What do you say to that?
I say that we should be talking about what the policies are.
They're just too dumb to understand.
It's all about messaging.
No, it's because we don't talk
Because
about
a lot of people don't understand, Kevin, what tariffs are. They see it as this great punishment to China that we're going to do. He says he's going to raise it up. He said today 2,000% tariffs on China. But here's the thing. It punishes the American importer. The Chinese are paid. Once you pay for those molds, the Chinese have put that money in their pocket, and then you are charged for the tariffs when you're bringing your molds in. So, and then, and just one other point that he said.
Moving back to
America.
But one other point is he says that that's going to incentivize people to come back. That's pie in the sky. If I give 2,000% tariffs on China, it's going to force all these people to come back. No, I'm for American jobs.
You know what?
That's why I support Kamala Harris, and I supported President
You know what jobs
Biden
Americans
because
work in?
they brought manufacturing back when President Trump didn't. The tariffs that he's talking about is not going to incentivize anybody else to go, oh my goodness, I'm not going to want to pay those tariffs, so I'm going to build this plant here in America.
I actually agree with
it's
you
not
on tariffs
because
with their European allies, but not with China, because unfortunately I live in the real world and not all of you are doing business. China, like I am, they cheat, they steal, they don't play by the level playing field.
I don't think they.
Right, but yet you're doing
going
business
to
there.
invest in a
But
business
yet you're
that
doing
makes
business there.
nails? Are you going to invest in a business that makes all of the low value inputs that we buy
I'm
from
a lowly
China?
businessman
No,
investing.
because they don't have any value add.
Do you agree with the Biden tariffs on China?
No.
So
I've been very critical
So
of
since
those.
Harris is running on that, how do you view the difference between their postures?
I think her tariffs, which are in fact a continuation of Biden tariffs, are dumb ideas. I think that we have lots of evidence showing that America.
This is the largest example I've ever seen in my life of one man truly going against the establishment or system or whatever you want to call it. These people's hatred of one man is so intense that they'd rather see him fail than to see America prosper in the long run. Because despite the fact that I don't think anyone argues that the United States needs to be less dependent on China, that we should manufacture a lot more of our essential goods at home, they're still fighting the administration with everything they have. So if they agree with some of the outcomes Trump is in pursuit of, then clearly they just don't like this strategy, right? And they have their own to achieve these goals. I've watched hundreds of these panels complaining about Donald Trump and fear-mongering about the tariffs, but I've yet to hear a single suggestion from the other side on how they'd do it differently, just complaining. Our giant trade deficit and horrific positioning as a global trade partner didn't develop overnight. It's taken decades and multiple administrations ignoring an inevitable problem to get us where we currently find ourselves. And while this can't all be changed overnight, I will say that the way Donald Trump is doing it, just rip the Band-Aid off, is the most efficient and will yield results the quickest. It's just really difficult to be lectured by folks that have their own self-interest in mind or people from a party that decimated our economy for 4 years. I've got zero time to listen to them. You've had your chance. Now let Donald Trump and his administration do their best to clean up not only your mess, but the messes of past administrations that you ignored. We've been talking about tariffs a lot lately because it seems like new developments are breaking daily on the topic. So sound off in the comments. Let me know how you think we're doing as far as where we're at, where we stand right now with the tariffs, and how you think it'll play out in the long run. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching people like Scott Jennings and Kevin O'Leary beat up on loser liberals like they did right there and have them freak out like that woman, then click on one of the videos that's about to pop up on your screen. Otherwise, I've got the best viewers on the planet. Thank you so much for taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. It means a ton to me. Never forget, Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.